Hi, good morning. I am Lise Colucci, and I'm one of the life coaches over at queenbeing.com, where we help you discover, understand, and overcome narcissistic abuse in toxic relationships. Hello and welcome. Today I want to talk to you about stonewalling. Stonewalling and the narcissist. Hello, James. How you doing? Oh, it's doing that thing again where it's lagging. I think it's my computer. I'm going to have to wait for a second and just ramble, and we'll come back to starting so it's not all glitchy and weird. I'll just say hello to Tree Hugger and to James and to anyone else who's here already. Thank you for joining me. And I'm waiting for the hang time and the weird glitchiness to stop, and then I got to figure out my computer. James, help! Why is it doing this? Hello, Violet. How are you? How do you get all those pretty little hearts? I don't see that. I love your little hearts. You do. It's lagging. Up in a second. I'm just going to wait till it stops. There it goes. Now I'm here. So anyway, smooth transitions into live stream aren't happening until I figure that out. Hello, E-Rock Freedom and Butterfly Mama. How are you doing? Okay, so let's talk about stonewalling, the narcissist and stonewalling. What is it and how does it affect you? And what can you do about it? So I might get disconnected, but you'll be back. Okay, good. Come back when you can. All right, so let's see. Stonewalling is basically when they block you from having any actual communication during any discussion or argument or debate. It is a delay in reply. So they may delay answering you when you ask a question. They may, hello, Ashley. They may resist answering questions. So there may be a resistance to answering question. We'll go over all of these too and what that looks like. There may be, this is like a precursor to the silent treatment when they stonewall. They usually will do something that leads up to the silent treatment, or often will, not usually. And then, so you feel this coming and you see it coming, and then what's next is absolute shutdown and silent treatment. So they will monologue. They'll monologue and then give you silence. They'll monologue about an issue that they think is, well, basically to derail any debate or discussion that you're trying to have with them, and drive it into where you're sitting there in silence, listening to them just going off, and then they will shut down into silence and walk away, or completely, they become like a stone wall, really, and they go into a silent treatment. Or they will avoid engaging altogether. They will avoid engaging in problem-solving discussions. So if we all have problem-solving discussions that happen on a daily basis that are healthy, and, well, we don't all, but we often do, right? We often have things that don't need to be drama, just problem-solving situations on how to live life together, or how to do something together when you're working with someone else, at work, at home, whatever, it doesn't matter. They will avoid those type of conversations entirely. And you usually go into one of the other behaviors above that I talked about. A dismissal. They'll completely dismiss what you're saying. They'll write it off as unreasonable, not important. Yeah. That's stonewalling in a nutshell, really. I'm going to read some of what you guys are saying. We used to call my dad the Incredible Sulk when he would do this, right? That's funny. I like it. I don't like it. I don't like that it happened, but I like that you found a way to be humorous with it and make light of it, because it is the most, to me, one of the most emotionally unintelligent ways of relating to another human being. Don't you think? It's like, yeah. Okay. I used to dissociate when my ex would filibuster. Yep. And that's exactly what happens. And we'll talk about what happens, what you feel like in a second. Like, that dissociation is a powerful one. When they completely detach when they've gotten what they need. Yes, they do. They completely detach when they've gotten what they need, and they're building up what they need. They're building up to the silent treatment. This is like a form of devaluing, I think. It's like, it really is a way to shut down communication when communication is needed the most. When you're in a relationship with someone, of any kind of relationship, when we need the communication the most is when there is something to talk about that requires both people's input, right? And so they block that with the stonewalling, and they turn it into a self-focused, selfish rejection of all communication. And it's painful. It's painful to experience in a lot of ways. So let me see. Hi, Misty and Frankendall and Denise. Let's see. Okay, so some examples. Let's talk about some examples, and then we'll talk about how it affects us. Some examples might be criticism within debate. So they might start to devalue you with criticism, not about the topic you're talking about, but the way you're talking about it. In other words, maybe you make a face when you're mad. And instead of, or when you're upset, or when you're trying to talk, and maybe you have a concentration face, or something that isn't, something they can pick on. And instead of listening to your words, they'll pick on that thing. And they'll use it as, it's a form of gaslighting, but they'll use it to then block all communication so that the whole communication becomes a monologue about your face or your expression, right? Other examples too, but that's just one. They will ignore you when you're talking. Or when they'll act, they'll ignore the topic and they'll ignore you. So one way they can do that is by, they kind of disengage and distract and get busy with something else. My example, my personal example that he used to do on the daily was if I had something to say, and it didn't even have to be a topic that was really heated. It could just be a topic he didn't feel like talking about, right? Or he didn't feel like going into or whatever. And it had an emotional element to it at all, God forbid, right? And he would play with the dog. While I was talking, he would talk to the dog daily. That kind of shutting down and stonewalling makes you feel so invisible, and it is so pointless to have a conversation with someone who does that. So there you go. No eye contact. They will have a conversation where they're looking everywhere else and they will not look at you. Or the opposite, they will look you straight in the eyes and use intimidation with their eyes to get what they want and to shut you down, right? They'll use their eyes. They'll roll their eyes. They'll make expressions of complete disgust and dissatisfaction. Yeah, so they might do things like minimally talk. They might be normally fairly talkative about things that they're interested in, but when it's something that they want to stonewall or want to get out of talking about, they'll just grunt a few words and out of character, even not really talk much. They will discuss all, what did I write here? Oh, they'll dismiss all of the concerns and gaslight. So they'll take, if you have a concern about something, they'll dismiss it as not important. They'll dismiss it as you being crazy, you being too sensitive. They'll push blame back and project and dismiss you. And then, that's gaslighting, right? So they'll actually make fun of you. Like make fun of your emotional state as you get into a rised, emotional, escalated behavior around this. As you start reacting, they'll start making fun of your reactions, or they'll make fun of the thing that you thought was important. They'll tease, sometimes they'll tease, but sometimes they'll just out and out criticize in a sort of mean spirited humor. And basically the biggest problem with all of this is they do not acknowledge any of the above. They will not acknowledge nor change nor see this as a manipulation tactic to basically avoid all conflict. It's not even avoiding conflict. It's creating conflict that suits their supply need, right? Instead of being accountable to the thing that you're trying to talk about in the first place. And sometimes it doesn't even have to be a personal thing. They just stonewall when they don't want to talk about something. So, and the reason I'm talking about this today is somebody asked a question about it and had never heard it described very much. And so they thought they were alone in having this happen. So I'm here to say this is a common occurrence. This was my life on the daily. Seriously, this is this topic I could give a million examples of. So I'm going to go and see what some of you guys said, and then we'll talk about how it affects you and what you can do to protect yourself. So the crazy intense eyes, right? And they do it to just shut you down and intimidate you. And if you do it back, like if you mirror their expression, they'll say, don't you dare look at me like that. Or, they know what they're doing. In other words, they know they're doing it and they don't want it back. So Misty says mine Mine would say, if it's going to get me worked up, I don't want to talk about it. Oh, yeah, sure, right? Uh-huh. But he can get worked up about it, or they can get worked up about other things, that's for sure. And they can create a situation where you're all worked up. Uh-huh. Let's see, I'm going to go back here a bit. Let's see. They like to emotionally torture, says Violet. Yes, they do. My ex would fall asleep after I started a conversation. Ooh, that's a good one. And yes, had that happen too. And say he needed to recover from my confronting his behavior. Oh my gosh. Yes, right? I need to recover. It's so hard on them to have to look at themselves. My God. How many of you look at yourself on a daily basis? I mean, probably hands are up right now, right? How many of you, when you're in a relationship, look at your own actions and look at your own behaviors? Probably most of us. It's ridiculous the way they need to recover from something that they're creating. Okay, anyway, but yes, they need to recover, the poor things. Let's see. Hi, Michael, John. Act like they're too good for the conversation. Yep, if anyone knows what I mean. I totally know what you mean. They act like, well, that's a form of avoidance and deflection, right? They'll deflect by acting like they're just, and it's the dismissal of the need to have the conversation. They're just too good for it. They're, what? How would I talk about that? Why is that important? Get over it, right? Uh-huh. Yeah. And then say, I never let him talk. Yes. Oh my gosh. Sorry. Yes. They never get to say what they need to say, even though they just monologued for 15 minutes. They never get heard. They never get to say what they need to say, ever. No one ever listens. Yep. Okay. Mumble, and word salad. Yes, it is. I must admit, I intentionally do it back to him. Okay, this is a good point. Thinking I will get the point that is, it's ignorant, but to no avail. It's a good point. We do try to do it back. It does become a back and forth, like tit for tat sort of behavior easily, because it's infuriating. What it does to you is it's infuriating. I mean, I think it is. I think it is. Not being heard is bad enough, but not being heard and have it being so obvious that someone is deliberately not listening to you and not wanting to engage when you're in a relationship, or it's a parent or somebody that you're supposed to have communication with, is, to me, it's infuriating. And it also, for some of us who have, who are intelligent and have emotional awareness and have a sense of our own emotional IQ, you know what I mean? Like we're trying to change. We're trying to better ourselves. We're trying to improve. We're trying to grow, but we're with a narc, right? It can become a puzzle to solve. It can feel like there can be this really overwhelming urge to want to fix things, to want to engage, like you said, get to the point and let them see it is ignorant and of no avail. But we have to look at the fact that this isn't ours to resolve. This is their manipulation tactic. This is their communication style. This is literally their communication style. You got to see it for what it is. It is not something to fix. It's not something that can be fixed with teaching them how to communicate, because this is how they communicate. And if narcissists don't change, and if they do change, it's only to become more covert and more sneaky with their behaviors. So, okay. Mindset used to say he felt like he was having a heart attack. Well, sometimes I would want to say, when they say things like that, if you would just engage in the actual conversation, you wouldn't feel that way, right? Yeah, it's infuriating. It's very manipulative. Denise says it's so manipulative. Stay away from the black hole. Yes, agreed. They wrap you up in their pettiness, no matter how hard you try to stay clear. Right? Yeah. Hello, James. What are you saying here? She made fun of my emotions too, which really hurts. I'm so thankful she left. Yeah, they devalue, they dismiss and make fun of you. That's what I mean by, the making fun of. It can be teasing, or it can just be out and out mean comments about you. So what happens if you live with this over long periods of time? Butterfly Mama, I think what happens is you become very dissociative. It depends on your coping style. You either become argumentative and fight back with it. You can become dissociative and check out and stop being able to know what it is you're feeling sometimes. So that takes some work to get back. It's toxic, right? So it's anything that living with narcissism long term, any of the things that can happen, exhaustion, fatigue, low self-esteem. You got to work really hard, I think, if you're in it and you cannot get out, to have your own life and to not engage in this stuff. This is like the major thing you should be gray rocking, in my opinion. I mean, we gray rock any of their nonsense, like gaslighting. This is kind of a form of gaslighting, right? And you gray rock this. You do not engage, because it got to the point where I learned that if it happened, if, like, say you started talking to the dog, I would stop mid-sentence and walk away and not talk about it. I'd realize this person doesn't care what I'm saying, how I'm saying it, what I'm talking about, the outcome of my feelings doesn't matter, doesn't care. So why engage? Why force them to care? They don't care. And I'd walk away. I mean, that was toward the end, and that, but that's the point, is that you can't make someone behave differently, and especially a narcissist, you can't even explain to them why what they're doing is harmful, because they don't care or they like it. So it gets them what they need. It's like seeing this as it is, seeing their behaviors for what they are, is super important, so that you don't let your emotions be ruled by it. Does that make sense? Let's see. They believe in their lies. Absolutely. They're delusional, So yeah, mine would use, you always love to get me riled up before anything. And I was just trying to talk, but they would take it as an attack. That too, exactly. And it, I had it happen on a regular basis at bedtime. That is ridiculous to me. I do not understand that. There was no reason for it. I never could figure out the reason, except maybe they were tired and more narky when they're tired. I don't know. Could never figure it out. But it was like regularly done, minimally 3 to 4 times a week. So, and it's always, you always make bedtime difficult. And like, all I was doing was laying here, and I wasn't even trying to have a conversation, or I had a really minimal conversation, and it would turn into a crazy stonewalling, which led to, a lot of other things. So yeah, I feel you there, Michael. Let's, Marina says, my ex did a hand gesture, hurry up, when I tried to tell him something, and said, can you just tell me the end and avoid the story? To shut me down when I tried to speak at all, he'd monologue. You just described it. That's it. Right there. Yep. I'm sorry. You deserve to be heard. Period. There's no, yeah. What happened to us? Oh, I already answered that. What happened over long periods of time? Did I answer you, Butterfly Mom? I think I did. Don't waste your energy, says Ashley. Says Violet. Ashley says, my narc sought me out after I made a YouTube video about online dating. He was not who he made himself out to be, and I'll never know if he used my video to create an image I would be seduced by. Did you see? I made a video last week about how they go after new supply and the predatory ways about them. So they're always looking for what to know about you to find their way in. How they change their persona to match the supply that they're seeking, and they're predatory. They wolf in sheep's clothing is the exact description. They put the clothing on to suit the supply, so that the supply is not scared away, and then they hook you. So yeah, it's possible. I fought back for many years, but stopped eventually. Talking and sharing emotionally at all, a natural sort of gray rock. That's exactly what happens, Butterfly Mama. So I would say for you, if you're still there, get other outlets so that you feel heard. Find friends, support groups, things like that, so that you feel heard and have a life outside of that. I wasted so much energy trying to make this work. Energy and years, right, Michael? It's such a waste, but it's not a waste in one sense. You learned a lot about you, and from this point forward, keeping that in mind can help with the despair that comes from the wasted time. Does that make sense? Like, I personally don't want to waste another second on it. Even though I talk about it daily, and even though I'm getting a little riled up because this topic is close to my heart, this one is like lived with so much, so closely that it really was the basis of the relationship. So yeah, I mean, I'm not wasting time though. I'm sharing, and I'm hopefully giving someone out there who didn't know this was toxic or that is experiencing this and might feel some validation, some sense that they're not alone. So, and all of you guys are doing the same as well. So we are not wasting another moment on it. We're getting better and we're healing, right? Let's see. Okay, to make you have sleep deprivation, been there, exactly. Yes, it's exactly what it was, because then what would happen is I would say something, they would say something, I would say something, they would say something, we'd get into it, just subtly, but it didn't matter. The stonewalling would happen. They'd need to go to sleep because they had to recover from their emotional, the emotional hurt that was caused to them at bedtime. And they'd wake up in the morning with the same pissed off attitude. So what do you do? It's nothing. It's not my problem, right? Bedtime here too turned into a monster, right? I realized he was trying to make me late for everything too. Violet, yes. It's everything about a narcissist that I've experienced and what I've seen is about control. So if they can control making you late for something, then they will. Why they want to, I don't know, but it gives them something, right? It gives them supply. Is it Terravia? Mine told me to shut up. That too. That's the dismissal in the harshest form, in one of the harshest form. I would. Yep. Sabotage. Yep. I'll watch that one. Thank you. The bedtime thing is a ploy to deprive me of sleep. It absolutely is. It's also a ploy to control you with sex, because that's generally when sex happens, is in the bedroom at night, right? So it's a ploy. It's also a tactic to manipulate there, whether it be through withholding or demanding and then creating a fight and then withholding. So it's all mixed up with all kinds of things. But sleep abuse is a big one. They like us to have no sleep. And that's honestly one of the harder ones to heal from, I think, because our bodies get so accustomed to the weird sleep schedule that it can take a while afterwards to get that sleep going. I know, sleep's an issue even for me still. So that's a big one. That's a big one, and it's important to pay attention to that. Butterfly Mama says, yes, mine would turn the lights on when I was in a dead sleep and wake me up. Oh yeah, or flashlights. Yeah, right in your eyes. Yeah, it's nice. Frankendoll says, being on here talking really helps me feel that I'm heard externally and helpful mentally. Good. Excellent. You are being heard. And I hope that what I'm speaking makes some sense so that you feel validated as well. It helps to know you are not alone and you are not the crazy one, right? It does. It does. It can make you feel crazy, but we stick in and we're strong, and we come through with an understanding, and we come through with more of an understanding of who they are than they can have about who they are. That baffles me the most, because at least for myself, my aim is to know myself and to understand the things I do and why I do them and how I can affect some change toward the positive on myself and the world around me, right? But this isn't the way they think. They just think of what does it get me? So anyway, Ashley says some YouTube personalities will say narcs keep their partner up at night, starting fights, which my narc would accuse me of when I was wrapping up the day in bed with light yet important conversations. Yes, they do. I think that's a super common one, keeping us up at night. It's effective. And then they roll over and fall asleep while you're sitting there crying or seething or, whatever you're doing, upset. He'd wake me up in the middle of the night crying and insist I comfort him. Ugh, or yelling at me. Eh, yeah. Yeah, I think what I'm reading here is that there's, we grow our emotional intelligence, our emotional IQs, and as we do that, we have to become intolerant of people who do not wish to do that for themselves. And yeah. Okay, anything you guys want to talk about? We are halfway through here, or a little bit more. And I am happy to answer any questions. I think I've gone over this topic, at least, unless you want to keep going with it. But any questions or concerns you have going on in your lives, go ahead, and now's the time to hit me up, and I will do my best to give you the help that you need. I'm worried about my ex-wife's daughter, because she's so cute, and he has a weird idea. He has weird sexual fantasies with kids. Your ex-wife's daughter. Wait, you're worried about your ex-wife's daughter. Who's the he? I don't know why I'm not puzzling this together. What can you do to protect her? I mean, is there anything you can do to protect her? This, the predatory stuff and yeah. Anything else you guys want to talk about today? I'm going through here and seeing if I missed anything. I don't think I did. I don't think so. Okay. So I guess that the point is with the stonewalling is gray rock, right? And get out and see that this is not going to change. This isn't a communication style that can be fixed. It's manipulation, and it's a tactic that's usually so ingrained in the narcissistic personality that it's not going to change at all. Even if you give them, okay, so he had some experience with exes who had gone through some training on how to communicate. They did counseling together and communication and books on communication, and he would study the communication. All it did is make the stonewalling more covert. So that is another point. No matter how you can't, it's putting, icing on crap. Really, you can't hide it. It's just there. You can disguise it, but you can't make it turn into cake. Right? All right. You're worried about him with his new wife's daughter. Okay. If you I don't know, in that kind of situation, unfortunately, the new supply isn't going to listen. It's a tricky one. I don't even know how to address it, because telling the wife and giving her the information would be my inclination if I had proof. If I had screenshots of his whatever, you know what I mean? Proof. If I didn't have proof, there's really not much, sadly, that can be done, because new supply isn't going to listen. They're not. I mean, as intelligent as most of us are, and as would we listen to someone that has been smeared to us as crazy, as vindictive, as acting out of hurt, as delusional? No, we wouldn't, because that's how we're being sold to these new people. So it's the unfortunate thing is I don't know. Yeah, so you told her and she called you a liar. Okay, so I would say you did your best in telling her, and hopefully by doing nothing more, you've planted a seed. And that seed of doubt, hopefully, is in her, and she will be watching. We can only protect as much as we can. We can't go in and force someone to understand us. And so I would say you've done what you can, and by telling her, and to work to let it go as something that is something you feel guilt about. Being worried, sure, but I mean, there's lots of things to be worried about, and focus on your healing and wish the best on the situation, because there's not much you can do without proof. And there's new supply, like you said, she didn't listen. Yeah. I wish they would, but it's this part of the cycle. They've been groomed. They've been The new supply has been groomed, they've been conditioned, they've been lied to, and they don't see the pattern yet. That's just what it is. Yeah, as a mother, if someone told me that, I'd be on alert. I'm hoping that by having said it, planted a seed, and then backing off, she will see you're not crazy, and that that will plant a seed of doubt right in there. Ashley says, yes, if they are actions or business actors or business owners, yeah, they please their clients, but not their life partner, and make us look so jealous. But it's inappropriate disrespect in a relationship. Yep. Okay, Michael John says, I'm trying to heal and stay away from hoovering right now. Luckily for me, he won't speak to me right now. I don't know how I managed that one. Be grateful, block. Right now is your opportunity to block everything so that there's no way to you, or there's very minimal ways to you. We can't make no way because they can always use, use phones or numbers that aren't theirs, right? But block in any way you can. Make your list of everything that he did that's toxic. So when he does hoover, you've got that handy. Really, really start focusing on self-care and things that make you happy in your life, things that bring you joy, so that your focus is more on you and less on him. And that way, if he does hoover, you've got you've got the scales, they're both sides are full. So you've got him pulling and you got your real life pulling, and you can then put more focus into that, where you want it to be when he's hoovering, if he does hoover. And if he doesn't, then yay. But get your head out of willy or won'y, because it doesn't matter. We know that they do, most likely. And if they don't, then we're lucky, right? So, yeah. Yes, hope they become as wide as you are now, right? Wise, yeah. Wide open and wise. There you go. Jeanette, hello. I know I'm being sucked in and manipulated at times, but I still want to wait for the change to happen. I'm so broken, and I know, honey, change won't happen. I'm here to say that the narcissist does not change. And holding on to hope is taking your precious and valuable time and throwing it away into something that is not fixable. You want your 29-year marriage to have a chance. Have you been happy 29 years? Is this a new occurrence, or is this something you've been trying to fix for 29 years? I don't know the situation. I don't know that, is this person a narcissist? Aren't they? I don't know. I'm assuming they are. You wouldn't be here. And we're going with that and saying that if they are a narcissistic, if they have NPD, or if they are high on the narcissistic spectrum, even if they don't have NPD, but they're like just super selfish, that kind of stuff, especially after 29 years, isn't going to change. It's not going to change. And all you can do is change yourself and start working. Instead of focusing on fixing a broken marriage, fix your own self-worth and your own self-esteem and your own places that you find joy and happiness, and try not to sink it into something that isn't yours to fix. That's his to fix. And if he's not fixing it, he's not going to fix it, right? We have to see it for what it is. I think that's the point when the trauma bonds break, is when you really, truly, 100% see it for what it is. And it can take a different thing for different people, and it takes time. So you just keep, you moved out over a year ago. Okay, are you working on you? That's my question. Are you working on focusing on your life and your needs outside of what he gives? That would be what I would suggest, because focusing back on what was and what could be or what should have been is doing nothing but chasing potential instead of being out living life. You know what I'm saying? And you deserve to live a life, not chase potential. You're the potential you should be chasing. You're the potential. Your love deserves a place to be that is receptive and loving back. And that can be yourself. It should start with yourself, really. And that's, so yeah. And that's if you do need coaching or anything, make sure you check out the links in the description for the video, because that's an area that, the group coaching or private can help with a lot, and getting your life focused on you instead of back on the toxic partner. I hope she learns, because she says she has a degree in psychology and she would know if he's a narcissist. Yeah, you know what? That's not the case. It's not the case. Yeah. I hope she learns too. I hope she figures it out. And I hope that little seed that you planted is enough to grow a garden of doubt and mistrust. That's all we can hope for. And you yourself, I hope that you can focus on your own healing now, because you did your best to give her the information that she needed, right? They have different operating systems than normies. Can't change it. That's right. Violet says that's right. The one thing that the narc has shown me is the depth of my humanity and ability to love. I love that, Violet. Isn't it true, though? When you get out and you get away and you have a sense of what your own depth is, and that can come in different ways, but that's the focus. If you can build a life focused on seeking your own depth and feeling the love that's already in you, then you just let it be part of who you are, and you're giving yourself what you needed all along from these narcissistic people, or from other people, from anyone. And then the relationships that come into your life are often a lot less, there's a lot less need. And so there's a lot less of this toxic push and pull. Or if it does, a toxic person comes in, we kick them out real fast. So you're not very happy, says Jeanette. I have this, I've had the same hurts for the whole time. Okay. Self-care, my friend, lots of it, and finding a way to live your life so that you are focused on self-growth, right? Self-betterment for yourself, because we attach and we cling to the relationship when really what we need to be doing is focusing on healing ourselves. It's part of the trauma bonding. So really seeing it for what it is, him for who he is. I don't know what he did or what led you here, or what led you to, believing he's narcissistic, but those things are true. They're true for you. They most likely happened. And they're not things that we tend to defend the narcissist a lot. We tend to, especially when we're deeply trauma bonded, we tend to defend them. We tend to protect them from their own self, even though we're trying to get them to see when they're stonewalling, but in a sense, we're protecting them because we're tolerating it. You know what I'm saying? Like, not tolerating and like it's your fault, but we're engaging with it, and we're trying to fix it. And instead of just like, I know people who have very, very high self-esteem and very, very low tolerance for BS, like stonewalling. And when someone stonewalls them, they literally cut them off. It takes about 30 seconds. And I find that fascinating that they don't have the need to fix it. They just, they say, there's no time for that. So that's a name I like to get to. I don't know about you, but must get going. Thank you. You're welcome. Goodbye, Frankendoll. I'm glad you made it. Yeah, we have a little bit of time here left. If anyone else has a question or anything that they want to talk about, we can do that, or we will end real soon here. Michael John says he was always trying to teach me a lesson. Oh, yeah, because they know so much, right? Dating him was the hardest lesson I've had to learn. It took 4 years for me to learn that. I can't fix him. That's right. I try to say, don't say can't in life. Try to find a different way to phrase the word I can't. This is one situation where can't is absolutely 100% appropriate. I can't fix a narcissist. I can't fix someone else, and especially not someone who has no empathy, right? It's not yours to fix, and you can't fix it. And that's a very appropriate use of the word can't. So, good. Fight to get it back, Jeanette. You're worth it. Yes. You started counseling and have lost my joy over the years. Jeanette, the joy is out there. Find things. This is what I do. Okay. Find things in your day that bring you joy, that are so simple that they're just there. To me, it's like big puffy clouds. I mean, I talk about that a lot. A flower, maybe a bee that lands on a flower. It's so simple that it's not like I'm like, oh, my life is beautiful, whatever. But I notice the joy and I let it in. And I let it in through breathing and just like noticing it for a second, breathing, noticing my reaction to it. Like, oh, I'm pretty funny when I like something, like it's, I like myself in that moment. Okay. And the more you do that, the more it builds. So work there. And that's a way to love yourself without going at like how to love yourself. Does that make sense? Because sometimes when we say we got to love ourselves, it can be like, why bother? Nobody else does. I mean, it can really lead you down a path of like how. So to me, it's about finding these simple joys outside of myself and then recognizing my reaction to them and actually paying attention and then letting it go and going on with the day, but letting that build up. Does that make sense? Taravia, I still have moments where I think he's coming into the house. How do I get over that? Is that like in your imagination, in your trauma, PTSD kind of thing, or is there actually a threat of that happening? If it's just something, if it is something that's not actually going to happen, it's similar to what I'm saying about letting go of the things you can't control. If there's no actual threat, there's no reason to have that fear, right? I mean, rationally. So what is that fear? What what's underneath it? What are you saying to yourself? Does that make sense? And how can you let go of the control that's around that so that you can focus on something else? So I would distract myself. I would say, oh, there it is again, and distract myself with other things that are actually going on and not, sorry, I have to plug in my computer. I don't not know what's, there we go. Okay. All right. So I would distract myself. I wouldn't let those thoughts take over. I would make lists of things for yourself that you can use to distract yourself. If it's not an actual threat, then have a journal of things to distract yourself. Whatever it is, thoughts, different new thought patterns, beliefs, different beliefs that you want to believe instead, funny jokes, whatever, something to get your mind to stop looping back to that thought. Okay. That makes sense? I think I was rambling a bit there. Okay. Seeing ourselves as valuable and not deserving of this type of abuse treatment helps get into your thinking. It sure does. So, and if you can't, look at the other survivors that you see in groups. Look at the other people around you. Did they deserve it? Do they deserve this? Do any of us deserve it? Do I deserve it? Like, think about, you can see me, like you can't see the other people, but you can see me. Do I deserve to be treated the way you were treated? No. And apply it to yourself. Take that feeling of like, she totally didn't deserve that, and apply it to yourself. Just think, you know what? Neither did I. And that can help. That's how it can help to have other people to use as examples, and for your own, to apply it back to yourself. Or, sometimes I'll look at children and I'll think they don't deserve to be treated poorly. That child deserves a chance in life. And I'll think, I am that child. You know what I mean? Like that. Okay. I can apply that back, because it can be hard to get from no self-love to self-love without some baby steps in between. Is it normal to have a lot of anger in one's dreams? Yes. When realizing the magnitude of childhood abuse, it is so normal to have anger all over the place. Anger is good. Okay. It's not good to have forever, but anger means you're past the point. Anger means you're like, the trauma bonds don't have the hold. Okay. You can have trauma bonds and anger. Yes. But my experience is, once the anger came, I didn't want them back. Not at all. You know what I mean? Like, the trauma bonds were like, nothing they could have done would lure me back in, because the anger for what they'd done. And especially with childhood abuse, because as a child, you have to be your own advocate right now. And you have to advocate back for yourself, for the child that didn't have the protection that it needed from abuse. Does that make sense? And so it's a survival thing. And our dreams are amazing. I wish I could do, I totally should. I should do a dream interpretation, Saturday morning dreams with Lise or something. I love dream interpreting. If anyone has one, hit me up. It's fun. So it's totally normal. It's in your dreams to feel the things that you need to be feeling. Does that make sense? Your subconscious is a powerful teacher, and it's trying day and night to help you see what you need to see. And it's processing at night the things that are difficult to get to with the conscious mind. And so, yes, write them down. Write down those dreams. Look for symbols. Look up the symbols. Like, write everything down. Look up every symbol that you can find. You start to see different things, and it really can help. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Violet says, wouldn't you be pissed off if you found out your child was abused? You are that child. That's right. He threw away a lot of my purses, Teravia. He threw away a lot of my personal belongings. He used to break into the house and throw them away. And I can't answer you why. I think he still does it. So if you feel like there's a threat, then secure the perimeter with video cameras, change the locks, do things so that you set up the things that you can control, right? To keep yourself feeling safe. And then it's a matter of letting go and focusing on other things. Does that make sense? Because if you keep focusing on what you can't control and is unknown, then you are trapped in the abuse still rather than moving past it. Does that make sense? Hello, Jody. Can people see this live after it's over? Yes, they can. I leave them up unless they are, there's a few that aren't, but I leave them up. And then what I do is I cut them down to shorter versions with just kind of like the meat of what we're talking about. But I definitely leave these up. So yes. Violet says you feel powerless. Yes, you do. So you take back power. You take back power in little bits by finding ways to protect yourself, make sure your protection is there. And if it's thoughts in your head based on PTSD, then you work on that through changing your beliefs, changing your thoughts, distraction, creating a life outside of the abuse. The more you create a life outside of it, the less your focus is back on it. Does that make sense? It takes time. Stuff isn't easy. Anyone else have a question before we end here pretty soon, or something they want to talk about? Any suggestions for Thursday or Friday stream? I'm not sure which day I'll be here. I think maybe both. Maybe. We'll see. But any suggestions, any topics you want to talk about, you can let me know as well, and I will do my best. I absolutely wouldn't forgive childhood damages, but it's harder with the husband. Why? That's all I'd ask myself. Why? Why is it harder with him? Dreams. You wanted me to talk about dreams? Okay, if I talk about dreams, I need dreams to talk about. So I can do my own, but only so many. I can only remember so many, unfortunately, only bits. I have a hard time with that. But yeah, dreams. I could talk about about dreams and how our nightmares that we think we're having are not necessarily nightmares, but teachers that can help. A lot of times people will ask me about a dream in coaching. They will ask me about a dream they've had that they feel like they're having a recurring nightmare or whatever about the narcissist. And when we look at the dream and break it down, it's actually super empowering. So their nightmare turns back into an empowering moment of their own psyche. And it's kind of awesome. Empowerment, that's a good topic too. Okay. Goodbye, Violet. Thank you for coming. I don't ramble good. Sometimes I can't tell because, there's no one actually talking back. I feel like they are. And then I realize, oh, wait, no, they're reading. And I have to read what they say. Okay. 3 years post-epiphany, I knew something was up. This is Angela. I knew something was up and trusted my gut before I knew a thing about an NPD. And now, and awake, post-family friends outing themselves, flashbacks happen. I don't always know origin, but it's okay. What do you do with those flashbacks? That's, we all get them, right? We do. Triggers and flashbacks. What do we do with it? You're welcome, Violet. Okay, you guys, I think we're getting close to the end here for today. I got past the 40-minute wall where I usually go, what am I talking about? And I made it to 50. Yay. Okay. All right. I don't see any other questions. Triggering. I think I have a video on triggers. If you look back in the on the videos, I think there's a live stream plus I think a cut down version about triggers. So maybe watch that, and if you have any further questions, then add them to the comments in that video, and I'll either answer there or try and talk more about triggers. You did a CPTSD course, okay, and that helped. Good. Self-care and healing. I think I have a self-care one too. I also have a self-care coaching group that is right now combined with the self-esteem group, which meets Monday nights for this month. It's every Monday night, plus there's a Facebook Messenger chat to go with it that is a daily check-in, and you guys can talk daily as much as you want. But that self-care coaching group and self-esteem coaching group combined is really, really focused on helping to make some changes in beliefs and changes in focus for your life so that you start to create a life that is more self-care oriented versus people-pleasing oriented. Does that make sense? Okay, so you can find the link for that in the description of this video, or you can, my contact info is there too, so you can always contact me or just leave a message here and I'll get you the info. So if anyone's interested in that, that is, like I said, it's a weekly hour personal coaching. We meet on video and each person gets the allotted amount of time to talk about their thing, and it all goes together. Everybody's work kind of goes together, and it was a really amazing group last night. So join us if you would like. That's $60 for the month. Right now, because we missed a week, it's $45. So you need to contact me to sign up if you want to. Okay. Let's see. Yes, it does. And I'm trying to get out of the habit of thinking that he has been in my house since he has left last June. It's so hard when you've had violation like that, isn't it? So yeah, it's hard to answer that, right here, right now, but step by step. So focusing little steps on letting go of the fear, letting go of okay, when someone violates you like that, it takes away your control in your life, right? When someone comes in and comes onto your property and they damage things or they break into your house or whatever they're doing, it's violating, and it takes control from where you feel safe, right? It's your home. So taking that back it's an incremental thing, but you realize that's what it is you're working on, is taking your control back. So other areas of your life where you can take empowerment and you can take control over your own agency in life, you know what I'm saying? That can help you start to let go of this other fear. Does that make sense? Yes, there's info on the coaching, Jeanette, on the description of this video or any of the videos. You can, it links, I think, to my personal coaching page, and then I have a link to the group coaching that's available right now. So, and then I may have my email. I should have my email there. So if not, I'll put it up there. Let's see. Michael says, this was very good for me. Good. I'm glad. Thank you. And any topics that you guys have, you can always find me. I'm all over the place and just suggest topics. I try to take them and do them as often as I can, or combine them into, multiple topics into one. So, okay. Take your power back, says Bonnie. That's exactly it. You take it in ways that aren't related. Try taking it in ways, Tara, I can't get your name, Tara Via, sorry. Try taking your power back in ways that are unrelated to the thing you're fearing. It's because then when you go to hit that bigger, heavier thing, which is this fear and this feeling of validate, what am I trying to say? Violation, not validation. The other one, when you come to that, you have some tools, right? And you have some successes in your back pocket. So, okay. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. I wish you all the best with your healing, and I will be here again very soon. Take care and goodbye. Oh, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button if you enjoyed this. Take care. Bye-bye. I'm going to leave the chat open. You guys can keep chatting until it times out. Take care.